stuck in touch. I know you think that I'm ready more. Now that I will and that I should be lost. But the breaking news wasn't that we're over. Said we finally took the mask off. My mommy told me that we shouldn't worry. Daddy told me just a good story. He said to move on and keep going. Imagine we had one more life, one more shot at sunrise. Erase everything, start with new eyes. Don't break the same tragic goodbyes. Wanna dance a coffee cup on my nightstand. Not to reminisce, just a reminder to never go back to the life we shared. Anytime I'm feeling the urge to look at a picture, oh, I get so confused. 'Cause I swear I am so over you. My mommy told me that we shouldn't worry. Daddy told me just a good story. He said to move on and keep going. Imagine we had one more life, one more shot at sunrise. Erase everything, start with new eyes. Don't break the same tragic goodbyes. Wanna dance
One, two, coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John, you know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man. Hope your channel is doing real well on YouTube. Hope you guys are having fun. And it was an honor and blessing to do this little custom freestyle for y'all. Hope you enjoy. Stay up. Yeah. Come on. Hey.
It's August 10th, 2023, and this is the PHPUgly podcast, episode 347. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. This is a podcast that focuses on the PHP programming language and its surrounding community, and we are three real-world developers who make a living using PHP. We stream every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Pacific Coast time, and you too can be part of that live stream by joining us in our Discord at discord.phpugly.com. Come in, you can hang out with us, ask questions, suggest show titles. You're part of the actual show, and we do appreciate it. And then you can hang out for the rest of the week. There's some great discussions and conversations that happen in there. Also, if you're watching us live, you can stick around to the after show, PHPUgly After Dark, PHP Uglier. The audio listeners don't get to watch that or don't get to hear that. So if you're an audio listener, you want to go to our YouTube channel, and if you to be able to watch the After Dark PHPUgly, you have to subscribe. It doesn't let you watch it otherwise. That is a complete lie. I just lied to you, but please subscribe because it makes us feel good. The show's made a little better thanks to a couple of sponsors we have, JetBrains and their PhPStorm and honeybadger.io. And I'm going to mention this. It's time that we get some acknowledgement. PHP Architect is also a sponsor. They're the reason why we're able to do this so well. So we'll talk about all of them, except for PHP Architect probably a little later. And we also like to thank our supporters on Patreon who really go above and beyond just helping us and supporting us. So we thank everybody. I am one of your hosts, Eric Van Johnson, and with me tonight is my friend and business partner, John Congdon.
Also, your protector in Discord, stepping up and defending you.
Uh-oh. Already, huh? Like we're not even like a minute or a couple minutes in the show and already. All right. And Tom right out.
Hello. Glad to be here.
Okay, listen, before we get started, I do want to take a moment and take the floor.
Unusual.
Us living here in Southern California, we have a little bit of a understanding and perspectives of what's happening in Maui, on the island of Maui in Hawaii here in the U.S. They're going through an absolutely horrible wildfire. People are dying. People are losing their homes, losing their lives. You feel very helpless watching this from afar. If you have any if we have any listeners in the Hawaii area, or if our listeners have any family or friends in that area, just want to let you guys know that we're thinking about you. Really just
we were just there. We were just walking through that town, a few weeks ago, and
I don't remember that. Oh, that's right. You were there.
We told our kids about it. Our friends that went with us told their kids, and they started crying. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, some of those places that you probably went to probably are not there anymore. Yeah. I saw an aerial photo today of it, and it's absolutely devastating. Mm-hmm. It's so hard to see that. And as somebody who's lived through something very similar a few times, there's just nothing that can be done. I mean, there's nothing like you have, maybe if you're lucky, like here in the mainland, which is what we call it, the continental U.S. here, the mainland here, we have the option of driving to a friend's house or driving to another city or driving to another state. They don't. One of the drawbacks of living on an island, it's just heart-wrenching to watch. But so I want everybody to know that we're thinking of you, and hope everybody's staying safe. Really, good luck and working your way through this. All right, let's move on.
Way to bring the show down, Eric.
Yeah, I figure I'd do it early before we actually get people watching. All right.
You brought up PHP Architect as a sponsor. I often think about that, but we talk about PHP Architect all the time, so kind of works out.
Yeah, but we don't give ourselves credit where credit is due, right? I don't feel like we do.
No, you 100% do. Don't worry about it.
What?
Nah.
What are you talking about?
I agree with you, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I just wanted to, it's going to be more of a regular thing. I do put it in the show notes, and that's what got me thinking about it. I was actually looking at my code. I'm like, I do say we're a sponsor in the show notes, and we are very much a sponsor. We're, it's just, yeah. So,
Is there a PHP Architect podcast though?
There is.
It's called PHPUgly. We've been doing it for years.
I was gonna say.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to get on that. I got no, I'm not gonna say that. I got to talk to Sammy K in Nashville. He was there, surprised me. I didn't know he was even involved with Laravel work. If you don't know, Sammy K started up the PHP Roundtable, and a few years back, asked me, he wanted to step away and asked if I would mind taking it over.
He had already stepped away for a long time.
That's true. Yeah, I don't think that he had done a show in a couple of years, and I had accepted, and then like my entire world went into tailspin. Not tailspin. I mean, it wasn't bad, but over the next couple of months, after kind of taking over PHP Roundtable, John and I took over operations of PHP Architect. My current wife and I started looking at houses and started the moving process. And I've had it's been a real challenge, especially after PHP Architect. PHP Architect was really the thing that's made it difficult for me to kind of carve out some time for PHP Roundtable. And I have tried. So we talked about that a little bit. He was very encouraging. We actually had a call. We talked. He's like, hey, let's Zoom. Let's Zoom when we get home. And so we did that, and we talked for a very long time, and it was inspiring. That guy is thanks
for the invite to the Zoom. Bastard.
That guy just has so much positive energy. It's just, he's like one of those people, they're those people like you can't be in a room with them and not feel their positive energy. They're just, I hate people like that. They aggravate me. But no, he's a great guy. He gave me some ideas. We actually pitched some ideas back and forth. So we're going to try to get that in motion here probably the next week or so.
He and I have had a private back and forth on Facebook as well. It's really good talking to him again. Been a long time.
Oh man, he's such a good guy. He's such a good guy. No, he doesn't like you, Tom. He made that very clear to me.
That's fair.
All right. How's everybody's week? Tom, let's start with you. You've been quiet. You've been patient. We appreciate you.
It's been interesting. Started getting a new type of headache that I've had like every day for 5 days in a row now. So
those are so pleasant.
Yeah, very light sensitive. As you can see, I'm trying to darken it up in my room a little bit tonight, and making doctor's appointments because I change my healthcare every year, so I never have a primary care physician, and now I have to get one and do that whole process. And
you're getting up there in age too. You definitely want to have a primary.
I am.
Yeah, going through that history every time, it gets old real quick.
We were promised like a medical future where the records could all just be like downloaded, but I still get a clipboard of like 12 pages of stuff every time I go to a doctor's office, and I'm like, great, thank you. Give me an iPad, please, just to run through it real quick. I mean,
You say that. I went to the dentist last week, and there's a woman in there with the iPad trying to fill it. She goes, the technology for us old folks. she just couldn't figure out what to press and what to do.
fine by that, but I mean, like, it's just such a pain in the ass. Do we have a history of any this and that? No. Do you have a history of this? No. Do you?
I don't know any of that stuff. If my current wife isn't with me, I just like, it's like taking a test in school. I'm just guessing.
Right.
Like, I don't know. What do you think they want to hear? Yes, would yes be good here?
Well, and naturally, my wife says, "Well, you know, when was the last time you got your eyes checked? And that can cause headaches and stuff." I said, "I don't know. It's been a while." She goes, "Well, do you want to schedule an appointment tomorrow?" I said, "No, not really." She says, "Do you want me to schedule an appointment for you tomorrow?" Yeah, kinda.
Yeah, I'm
a
pretty.
big wimp.
I'm pretty worthless without the current wife. I tell you, I can't function.
Yeah, and you know, I think that's a pretty standard thing to be. It's just my wife also wants me to be independent and self-fulfilling, and I'm like,
The
but, like,
nerve, right?
no, we got married. What are you talking about?
Isn't that why we got married?
whole
Because
deal.
I can't do this by myself.
Yeah, I bought the season pass because I was tired of buying tickets every day.
It was getting expensive.
You can tell she does not listen to this podcast.
Oh, great.
And Eric's getting an earful for laughing so hard because his family does listen to the podcast.
The whole family listens to the podcast. The dog listens to the podcast. Man, do I get it.
The funny thing is, as I was trying to find Facebook posts to reshare or whatever, I saw one from like 2 years ago that your family shared where they're out by the pool. Maybe it was just a year ago.
Oh yeah, that was just about a year ago.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all right. I guess I'll keep them around. Although they're bailing us now, so I don't know. I was just up in San Fran last weekend visiting NorCal Kid. So that was
How was the new place?
This is why I'm getting confused lately, because you keep saying San Fran is NorCal Kid, but San Fran is not NorCal.
It's not.
No.
It's NorCal to us.
Compared to SoCal, which is
What would San Francisco be considered if it's not Northern California?
It would be considered Southern California, or at very most.
What? You know where San Francisco? You don't know where San Francisco is, do you?
I'm supposed to go there in September, so
You might want to look on a map. I can guarantee you it's not Southern California. I would have been surprised if you said Central California. I have no other reason to believe why it's not Northern California now. You're thinking like San Bernardino or something like that. I don't know what the hell you're thinking of. You're about to get your mind blown when you realize how far up it is.
It says I am very wrong.
Thank you for making our night.
You asked about the new place that NorCal Kid is in, and it's very nice.
Wait. I don't want to discount what just happened. Weren't you the one born in California?
Me? Yeah.
Eric and I are transplants.
I'm just asking for a friend.
By
my friend would be you. Who doesn't
my
need this.
understanding, it was like you've got Washington, and then you've got about 50 miles south of Washington, which is NorCal, and then everything south of
You
that.
skipped the whole state. You skipped the whole state, dude.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's the
now
problem. You think Oregon is Northern California. I get it now.
Yeah, isn't Seattle? That's California's capital, Seattle.
All right, you're saying
NorCal kids, new apartment, much nicer than where they were living. The studio apartment they were living in. They have the apartment is actually set up like the other place they were at was your traditional. People live here, go in the building, go to your apartment, and try not to bother anybody. This is actually
hope
set up.
nobody's out there to talk to you.
Yeah. This is actually set up like a community where there's actually a couple buildings. They have a huge little common area between the buildings where like they're blocked out from the rest of the city, and they can go down there and sit and socialize and all. So it's nice. Their apartment itself, which is a 1-bedroom now, so they definitely leveled up there. It's cute because it's like, and I don't know, like considering the person I'm in, like if you took who I am today, made me 25 years old, and in my first 1-bedroom apartment, I probably would have done the same thing. But it's like it's definitely not set up for guests. Like it's set up for their cohabitation, where they have their area where they rest, whatever, socialize, play puzzles, whatever, and then you come out to what would be the living room, and it's like a little office. Because they're both. My NorCal kid works remotely for a place here in San Diego. NorCal kid's partner is starting their senior year of college. So if they're not working, they're sleeping. I mean, that's how you are at that age, right? If you're not doing, what you do to make a living, you're sleeping. So that's how their kind of apartment is set up right now. And it's really kind of cool seeing that growth, right? Because the next thing they're going to do, they're going to make friends. They're going to start having people over. So they're going to, kind of, set up the place to accommodate guests. And it's
like I say, this isn't big enough, and to have to find somewhere bigger.
Yeah.
Except they're in San Francisco, so you can't find
There are certain safeguards from that in San Francisco, mainly cost.
They still got 20 years on that as well. I mean, it wasn't until I looked at a place and said, we can't entertain here, and I was like 35 or 40.
Yeah. So I had some great food up there, which I'm a big fan. I have my little Buena Vista that I go to, which is the bar that brought the Irish coffee to the U.S. They've been making Irish coffees the same way for I don't know, 1,000,000 years, whatever, however long it's been. Huh? The Buena Vista?
Yeah.
It's actually a really well-known spot, and we go there every time we go to San Francisco. Now we make it a point to go there. So I've actually stayed the night there. They long story, but they have apartments over the Buena Vista, and a person that I was doing work with, family owned them, and it was this weird thing where I don't know how it is now with Airbnb. It might have changed, but back then, this was a while back, before Airbnb, they couldn't rent the apartments out because it was too expensive to make them handicap accessible, and there was all these reasons that they didn't do it. So they own the Buena Vista as well. So they're like, we'll just keep it. We'll use it. When we're in town, that's where we'll stay. There's a bunch of partners of the Buena Vista. And so he was like, yeah, if you're coming up, let me know. And if one of them's available, I'll hook you up. So we went up there once, and he hooked us up, and absolutely amazing. I mean, it was just amazing. It wasn't the entire floor. This was the one that had the 3-bedroom, and then the 1-bedroom, and then another floor was like the entire floor. But it was out the window. You're looking at the Golden Gate Bridge, and there's Alcatraz and Buena Vista's underneath you, and it was so wonderful. So we go there all the time. It was a good time.
Sounds like you need to make contact with that person again and try and get back.
I know. Trust me, I've been going through my emails. Like, who what's this guy's name again?
What if I call him?
I hope he doesn't listen to PHPUgly. Damn it.
That's who we are. How are you, John? How was your week? I want to get your week out of the way before I start commercials. I'm excited about commercials this week.
You are. My week, stressful but great. I got to go paragliding on Sunday. I shared the video in Discord. That's probably the highlight of my week. Getting another decent flight with that. I've got my
falling to your death off a cliff.
Yeah, I got my minimum flight requirements. So if I ever do decide to go get my P3, which is not cheap, all I gotta do is take my test and then prove I can land a bunch of times and do a few other things. So getting my next certification shouldn't be too difficult outside of cost and the time to do so. Work-wise, been decent. Some frustrations here and there, but that's for another day. Getting a lot of good stuff done.
Another day?
Yeah, it's
Thursdays.
I don't know.
We have.
I know. I don't know if I really want to get into it. Just frustrations.
Uh-oh.
Frustrations. I just feel like crap some days, and just you get on that low.
Oh,
and
I had that week last week. Yeah.
And then you're like, crap. Like, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing, or should I, like, be greeting people at Walmart?
Oh, I ask myself that all the time.
But it's not like I've done anything wrong. Outside of, this will be fun. One of my pull requests did go live, and the person that was releasing it says, can you please double and triple check the environment variables to make sure that these keys are in all the environments that are necessary? I'm like, sure, I double checked earlier today. They were all there, but I will go through all the environment variables one more time and make sure. Go through them all. All the environment variables are there. So on the next deploy, the keys will be there, no issue. Fast forward, next morning, get called in, like, we're down on this one environment. Yeah. Of the 4 environments, 3 are in one AWS account and 1 is in another AWS account. My scripts for pulling down all the secrets to change the ENV and push them back up only work in the environment with the 3, or in the AWS account with the 3 environments. I always forget about the redheaded stepchild of the 4th environment. I don't even think, I got to pull those down too and make changes. So
yeah, there's always that one step. Always that one step.
It's like, come on.
Well, you know what?
Good.
No, you go ahead, because I'm trying to segue.
Yeah, I like the segue where you're going, because you're 100% correct. 100% correct.
You know what could have caught that error, John?
To our friends at HoneyBadger.io for sponsoring this podcast. Monitoring, like web development, can be complicated. There are tons of tools and techniques, but you just want to know that your app is up and that your customers are happy. When your customers encounter a problem, you need clear, actionable intelligence, not walls of charts and reams of logs to tail. That's why we built HoneyBadger, the monitoring tool we always wanted, a tool that's there when you need it, and gets out of your way when you don't, so that you can keep shipping, know when critical errors occur and which customers are affected, respond instantly when your systems go down, improve the health of your systems over time, and fix problems before your customers can report them. HoneyBadger is the application health monitoring tool built for you, the developer who cares about a quality product and happy customers. Be the hero of your team and sign up for a free trial and start monitoring today at honeybadger.io. Setup takes as little as 5 minutes. See what you've been missing and fix it. Once again, that's www.honeybadger.io. Now back to the show. Oh, and Eric is the host. Back to the show.
I like that new person.
Thank you, Honey
Thank
Badger.
you, Honey Badger.
Thank you, Honey Badger.
That's not going to stick around.
What's that?
That AI voice.
Oh, are you gonna do a read for me?
I would gladly do a read instead of that.
There we go. I appreciate that.
I feel like
It's
I've
not
been
that
tricked.
bad. Fucking grow up, you big baby. Jesus Christ.
Eric, the video turned out great. The AI voice.
This
we,
is
we,
what I'm
we can work
saying.
with.
I bust my ass for this
You
show,
did
and this is the
good.
shit I got to put up with. For the record, I was supposed to have somebody here reading this stuff for me. They failed at their job, and we haven't hooked up. The AI is just a placeholder.
Are you talking about Toast?
Yeah, Toast. Toast was supposed to do it. Yeah. The AI is just a placeholder. So everybody complaining about the AI. You know what? At this point, I'm not changing it. Screw all y'all.
I'll do a read.
Yes, I do. I do agree. Honey Badger would make that a lot better. And I've been trying to sell Honey Badger to this one client for a while. We need to make that happen. They're using another tool that's obviously not up to the task because it was deployed for 12 hours before realizing, oh, nobody can log into this one environment. You can tell it's a very low priority environment, but the fact is they couldn't log into it. You are muted, Eric.
Was it the tool or was it the setup and configuration?
So we've had this happen way too many times where you deploy new code that relies on something in configuration in the environment variable, the .env file. I, in hindsight, wish I would have taken the temporary values that we're using for keys, because you're not supposed to put keys in your repo, but we know that these are temporary, so they could have been the defaults within our configuration file. Like, pull it from the environment. If it's not there, use this temporary key that we know is going away as the backup, because the truth is we don't connect to that service until we need to use it. But because it's within middleware, it's reliant on that key being there to, spin up the service or the client. So just one of those frustrating things. And the fact that I did double and triple check like I was asked to do and missed it in one environment is just, it's heartbreaking. It's frustrating. Yeah.
I had 2 PRs last week that got completely rewound, and I pushed 2 PRs total last week, so that wasn't great.
It's 2 more than I pushed.
But yeah, one of them was the Twitter logo. It wasn't my fault that got bounced back to me.
Yeah.
So back on San Francisco, though, I want to point this out. NorCal Kid and NorCal Kid's partner took us to. They kept talking about Salesforce, a park that Salesforce has, and I'm like, okay, this is all right. I'll go to a park. I'm a big fan of parks. I like parks. I like public parks, but San Francisco is a city, and I guess one of the kind of requirements for these big companies that take up a lot of space downtown is they have to, and I don't know all the details, I might be broad stroking this a lot, but there's something about if they occupy a certain amount of space downtown, they have to make some area accessible to the public for the public's use. So a lot of them will put like parks or something on the top of the building. They don't publicize it a lot. They don't want the public going there. They're just kind of doing it to be in compliance. And Salesforce is a little different. I mean, they have this huge park. It says it's like 4 football fields long, but it didn't feel like that because we had walked around it. But it's gorgeous, and it's like 3 or 4. I don't want to say 3 or 4 stories. It's more than that. It's way up there in the sky. Like the Salesforce has a bunch of buildings in downtown's financial district, and this park just spans between them way up. Matter of fact, there is another level underneath of it where buses come, and they have this like interactive art thing where when buses come on that level underneath the park, these this water exhibit shoots up water along the bus. Like as the bus passes, the water shoots up to show you where the bus is. And it's just like stuff like that I absolutely love. But this park was like, you felt like you were in like some weird movie. Like it didn't feel like it was a real park. It was so like future. It felt so futuristic, and it was cool. I like that. I like parks, so I'm a big park guy.
The annoying thing though is as soon as you leave, you get an email that says, "How was your experience?"
Oh yeah, you have to take a couple surveys. They want to set up a Zoom call with you and talk about the benefits.
How likely are you to recommend Salesforce Park to your friends?
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't really recommend parks to my friends, but
if I'm going to, I'll do it on a podcast and just rave about it.
NorCal Kid just shared a link of rooftop parks in San Fran. So I will add that to the show notes for anybody who might be interested or who live in that area and don't know about this, because it is the sales, and it is free, right? There's no, you don't pay anything to go there. They have like all these like yoga classes, and oh my god, the most hippie San Francisco thing possible. They have drum circles like every Wednesday night. There's a drum circle. I'm like, all right. Now you want to know why people make fun of you? Because of things like that. That's why we make fun of you.
Yeah. Do you know why we used drums in the past? They were announcements of war. they were weapons.
Drum circles are fun.
Oh God! Somebody's been in a drum circle.
Well, in a kid's drum circle, at an elementary school, but it's still fun.
I've seen how you handle your weed. I cannot imagine you as a fan of drum circles.
Fair point. You win.
Valid. All right.
Well, you were saying like these bad experiences that we have as developers, where it's just you miss something, you feel shitty about yourself, you're your own worst judge in these cases. And I've seen a lot of stuff on beginner posts in PHP, in the PHP subreddit, where they're like, oh, well, hey, at what point in your career do you stop making these stupid mistakes? And I love that the answers are always the same, which is like, dude, I nearly blew up a Fortune 500 company yesterday. You still make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to feel bad about it every time. But you learn from the mistake. Here's how you test this thing. Here's how you avoid it happening in the future, and you find a whole new mistake to make next time.
But sometimes it's not even mistakes. I shared last week how I had a PR that changed like 5 lines of code that did the job that needed to be done, and the person that reviewed it came in, and all of a sudden it was 8 files changed, like 6 brand new files.
Right.
Like the engineering behind it, again, useful in the future. I get where they were going, but it's like you could accept what was there and say, hey, I'm going to PR this other thing, and you could use it if you would like as we move forward.
So,
but yes, I agree. We're all going to make mistakes, no matter what level you get to. You're never going to be, I'm on top of the world, I've got this.
I had an idea for doing PRs the other day that I wanted to run by you guys before I ran it up the chain at my job, which is defend your thesis style pull request reviews or code reviews, where the person takes the PR, runs through it line by line, says, here's what this is doing, here's what this is doing, here's what this is doing, and the code reviewer is following intently along with them the whole way and saying, yes, that looks good, yes, that makes sense, you could have done it better this way, you have to change this, and make it a co-coding process, a pair process, where the developer in charge is defending their pull request.
So the client I work with mostly has gone to most of the time we do live pair review. So instead
Oh, I
of
like that.
don't take the approach of a thesis or defend your PR. It's you get
I like
on to
the
do the
choice
code
of
review
term.
and you work together on it to as they're going through it, they may ask you questions and you can defend, but it's not like you need to defend line by line. They're like, they should be looking through, oh, I like this. Yeah, I think you should change this or maybe do this a little differently. And could become a discussion more than a defend what you have.
I mean, last week was a perfect example of that. Had we something like that implemented, ideally the issue we had last week where we had multiple developers touching a code base and then implementing different styles of writing to a storage location where I was using Laravel, it was Laravel apps. I was using Laravel storage facade. They were using straight PHP, and there became a problem because the storage facade, the storage location was different on development or on local development versus the servers,
Staging or
right?
production, yeah.
So had we had something like that in place, ideally, a developer would had as they're talking through it would have been able to see that and say, yeah, why did you do it this way? This isn't how we should have done it here. And
So let's put that on our list to talk about on Tuesday or tomorrow. Like let's actually have a conversation. Should we move more to the live peer review type of scenario?
yeah, the problem with and I was going to ask this question of you, and this is to you too, Tom. How do you guys make time for that? I
So
know the big contract I'm on has a heavy PR turnover. Like there are multiple projects, there are multiple PRs. We ask for reviews, but it's not the style you talk about, John, where you're doing a review while the person is on the call. It's more of a okay, let me go look at this real fast so that they can merge it in. And I feel like so many things get missed that way.
it's not a thorough.
Right there. Don't let's look at it real fast is automatically off on the wrong foot.
Yeah,
I'm not arguing that. It's just a matter of time.
It's usually at that point you're just looking for major, like, oh, that's not going to work, but you're going to miss something versus a thoughtful review. I think we need to make the decision that it's priority and needs to be done. It's the way I've learned a lot. Meanwhile, I'm frustrated. I'm sharing that I have frustrations around things, and a lot of it has to do with my own ability where I'm not breaking things down as much as somebody else would like. So there's extremes, right? There's the way I would normally do things, which is just make it work. There's the over engineer it, like adding 8 files to something that could be done in a single file. And there's also the middle ground. I think there's a way forward where you get a couple people talking about the project and they say, I would probably do it like this, but it's good enough for now. Like what you have here works. It's fine. In the future, think about this. Or like Tom was saying, no, you have to change this. Like you need to add tests around this. You have to change what you've done here because it's not good. Or it's not future friendly or whatever the case is.
So I think the first thing I do in a code review now is look at the initial ask and make sure that the testing requirements for the ticket match the initial ask. Right? So a lot of times junior developers and senior developers will get 99% through a ticket and miss the line that says this has to apply only to this kind of customer or this applies to this region. And so they'll have a 99% complete PR, but their test scenario, which has already passed when it gets to code review, doesn't say anything about making sure that it doesn't work in region X or doesn't work for customer base Y. So my first goal is make sure that the code meets the request of the ticket in the first place. And from there, I do, code quality, and then after code quality, I look at potential complications. For example, I had a ticket. The ticket went out last week and got retracted, where I did not account for a table having 10 million records in it. My test table only had 150 records. And when the cron ran the next day, it completely locked up the system because there was no way for me to test for that table having that many records, and everything for me resulted in a perfectly fine response. So that's knowledge. You can't substitute that.
So I'm curious on your workflow. So for me, it's open pull request, peer review. So checking code style, which mostly is automated, but there's still some like, your naming here is bad. Architectural. So the peer review includes code style, architecture, all that good stuff. After that, then it goes to QA. Does it do what it's supposed to do? Are you saying yours is back the other way, where QA first and then the peer review?
Yes. So the QA department, so we have a UAT, user acceptance testing, which is our current version of, hey, you have to convince the stakeholders that you met their needs.
My only issue with that direction is if it gets through QA or your user acceptance testing, and then you go to peer review and the peer reviewer says, oh, you have to change this. You should, did you realize we already have this utility that does what you're already doing? You should be using that.
Yeah.
Well, now it's got to go back to QA, right?
It's supposed to.
Whereas flipping that, once it's through peer review, it goes to QA, and then you have the user acceptance testing where does it do what it's supposed to do? If it does, once it gets to QA, if they say, hey, there's this edge case, it doesn't always go back to peer review. It's like, I gotta just fix this bug. It should. You're right.
It kind of doesn't matter which order you do it in. You've got to go all the way back when the code changes, when the PR changes.
In theory, usually it's like, I fixed that bug. You're right. There's an edge case I missed that didn't get caught in peer review because they're more concerned about code style or architecture. But I fixed this bug. Does it get through QA at that point and move on?
And I have a ticket that's dealing with billing coming up, and I kind of don't know how to get the best possible code review out of it, because if it breaks when it goes live and we lose money or do something wrong, I'm going to be held responsible for it. But I kind of want to like have a code reviewer where I'm like, listen, you also have to take some responsibility on this because you're reviewing it. Please check super carefully. And I wish there was a tool that could do like a code coverage style thing plus peer review, where like you could check each line and say, I get what this method is doing. I think it's correct. Next one.
You know what we use for that?
What do you use for that?
We often use PHPStorm for that.
Thanks to JetBrains and PhpStorm for partnering with us. PhPStorm is a cutting-edge IDE tailored for PHP and web developers. Whether you're a newcomer or it's just been a hot minute since your last dive in, there's never been a better time to revisit. With a slick, clean new UI, blazing speed enhancements, and a richer toolkit, it's transforming the way we code. It's time to start coding like a professional. Visit jetbrains.com/PhpStorm and kick off your 30-day free trial. Code smarter, not harder.
Thank you, PhpStorm.
PhpStorm.
PhpStorm. I don't remember adding that music to that.
But in all seriousness, we do use PHPStorm a lot for our reviews, because with the I believe it's still a plugin, or I have it because it was a plugin, the GitHub pull request feature. So from there, you can search for the pull request. You can start digging through the files that have changed pretty easily. The thing that doesn't work, you can check out a branch. You can just do a peer review without checking it out and do that just fine. But that's going to show you a diff often. And if you don't have the file, it can't jump to it. If you check it out, simply on Linux, F4, you jump to the file and you can start going through like the file itself, not going through the diff. But it's been really nice.
Tasks. It also has the task system, which is really nice. Reminds me of Mercurial, where it'll auto stash everything for you and open up a sort of new instance of the checked out branch.
Really? I recall hearing about the task, but I haven't used that yet.
Yeah, it remembers which tabs you had open when you were on this task. It remembers, where you were and everything, and does all of the Git magic for you, which is pretty slick. Although, generally, I still not a huge fan of my Git experience in PhPStorm, but I am now using it every single day and getting used to all the keybinds that I forgot.
Yeah. I do 99% of my Git stuff directly in PhPStorm. The one thing I do sometimes outside is rebasing. I can do it in PhPStorm, but sometimes I want a little bit more control over it, and I do that command line. But outside of that, yeah,
well, that's interesting, because I do I've been very happy with rebasing in PhPStorm.
Yeah, for the most part, I am as well. I haven't done interactive rebasing in Storm. That I often do command line. Okay. And I don't know if I just haven't looked into it enough to know if I can do it through Storm. It's muscle memory. I just do it on command line, and that's the way it works for me.
Yeah, I've been very happy with PhPStorm the last 2 weeks, just using it as my daily driver. Well, Eric,
Tom,
I have a question for you.
Lay it on me, brother.
Does the name Bram Moulinar mean anything to you?
Yeah.
Eric was the first to share the story, and then all of a sudden other people started sharing. I'm like, wait, didn't Eric share this already?
Yeah. Yeah, that one hurt. So Bram is we talk about what is it? How do you say
BDFL?
BDFL, yeah.
Benevolent dictator for life.
Yeah, he was the guy behind Vim, VI improved. So we now have NeoVim, which I moved on to, but he was the person behind Vim, and he passed away. I mean, the guy was only like a young 50s, right? I mean, he wasn't that old. It was weird, man. But yeah, people are dying. It's crazy. Yeah, that was disappointing. I should have that link. Do we have that in Trello by chance?
Yeah, I moved it over.
No, thanks. Yeah, man. Shoot, that one sucked, man. Now, with that said, and tell me if it's too early, I will be massively disappointed if on his tombstone somewhere there isn't a :Q somewhere on that tombstone. I will be very disappointed to find that out.
Now we got to follow up with that in the future.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing I remember. As my grandparents and parents have aged, they start talking about the passing of people, and it's like, crap! Feel like I'm starting to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens more and more.
Yeah. That sucked.
But hey, do you want a more upbeat story?
Sure.
Well, I was going to say I was going to make John laugh, but let's hear what you have.
No, here, make me laugh.
Oh, this will make both of you laugh.
Okay.
GitHub posted a featured article on their blog. The headline of which is Laravel the happiest developer community on the planet?
Do you have a link to this? I have no idea what you're talking about, and I want to
He
see
does.
it now.
He does have a link to it.
Yep. It's
All
up
right.
next. Boy, I had an instant visceral reaction to this headline.
Did you read it?
How the PHP framework maintains a perpetual honeymoon period.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah. It's a honeymoon all the way up till divorce. Listen, I like Laravel. I still use Laravel. I love what it's done. But dude, the blowing smoke part of the community is just absurd. And
yeah, it's tough.
and to separate Laravel from PHP is like the big mistake in this article, because I think PHP is the happiest community in development, in software development. I think we have done such incredible stuff. We have so many local meetups. We have so many conferences worldwide, and it is such a positive thing. But to say Laravel is the happiest community, I'm like, man, I guess you've never issued a PR and had to deal with the dude who handles PRs, because yeah, like
that's entertaining. And you know, it seems like there's always one in the PHP ecosystem. I mean, for years it was WordPress. WordPress saved PHP. WordPress is the best. You know, everybody who develops some WordPress are, you know, they're all happy. And now it's Laravel. Yeah, Laravel saved PHP.
But like,
no, it didn't.
Did the Symfony community suddenly get super toxic and I didn't notice? Like, what's happening with this review of a single framework?
I've cracked that code. The people in Symfony, they're not trying to impress anybody anymore. They know, like, you know, our shit gets things done. Like, we don't need the accolades and people, you know, always talking about how great we are. And it's just because I've been diving more and more into the Symfony world, and it's a very different, like, business. You know, we're trying to get work done here. Business is trying to get, you know, we're trying to make businesses move forward.
And they get 3,000 people at SymphonyCon, so
yeah. So it's I mean, it's just too, you know, it's one of these things. Like, I think so. At Laracon this year, Taylor asked, who is this your first Laracon? And no exaggeration, well over a majority of the people in that room raised their hand. And that's what it is. That's that perpetual honeymoon. They have turnover
users.
Right, exactly. It's very approachable to new developers, and it's very easy to get excited about it. And there's nothing wrong with that. There really isn't. That's a good thing.
And a long time ago, I said, "Hey, I finished Laracasts," so, and like, that's not a joke. You can finish Laracasts, and there's like new stuff coming out every week, like 3 new episodes a week of something. But at a certain point, you got it. You get the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, but you don't, right? Because then they change it. That's the thing with Laravel. Like, yeah, just when you think you understand it, they change it all. But I don't know. I mean, I'm done. I want to be done, like, being super critical of that aspect of it, because all communities have it. Laravel happens to have a larger amount of it because they get a lot of new developers. And again, that's not a problem.
You're talking about the fanboyism?
Yeah. There's
very charismatic spokesman, you know, Tailwinds, and then Livewire, and I mean, every time one of these new things comes out, it's somewhat revolutionary, and it's for some reason tied closely to Laravel.
Mhm.
It's got the best cheerleaders for sure.
Yeah. So I think that's I think I'm kind of over it as far as like it doesn't bother me as much as it doesn't bother me as much as it did. It used to really bug me because I've been like I was getting to the point where it's like I don't want to hear about how great Laravel is anymore. I want to understand how to move forward with Laravel, and it's like all those blog posts were really getting under my skin, but I've kind of gotten over it. I feel like I've reached like a new level. It's like, okay, if half of your article is talking about how great Laravel is, then you're too young of a developer for me to really care about what the other half has to say at this point. I want to look at articles that have more more substance to it.
But the thing that struck me about this was a GitHub blog. This wasn't like some guy on Medium. This was
right.
That's surprising.
On GitHub,
Yeah.
a GitHub featured article,
and it's it is a lot of circle jerking.
Yeah, we've said that for a while. So,
Yeah.
all right. So John, you want to make you laugh? You'll appreciate it
laugh.
because it just came up. I'm gonna bring up our Patreon supporters. Why I do this because it's a little bit of a story. So first off, thank you to our.
What? Oh, the music was on, so I lost your audio.
Every week.
Still.
Yeah, your audio's bad. Try again.
What do you want me to try?
There. Perfect. Go.
There you go. You got it.
I haven't done anything. What are you talking about?
Perfect.
Jesus Christ, you guys. You guys complained a lot for people who don't do shit for the show. I'm just saying.
No,
all right, John, I'm going to make you laugh. You ready?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You got him.
Wow, that was easier than I thought it was going to be. I don't know how to wrap it up now. All right, so we were just talking about this. And I'll share it with our listeners because all of our listeners weren't on that phone call. But one of the running jokes we have within our company, and particularly with the client that I basically manage, is that early in our existence, before we were PHP Architect, this is back when Diego Dev, when we first took over this contract, the owner of the company, for whatever reason, could never remember my name and never realized that I was the one doing a lot of the legwork on his contract. So in every meeting, and this is not an exaggeration, for probably the first couple of years, he would always make a point of talking about what a great job John is doing. And John was like barely doing anything on the contract. But John always got these, accolades of what a great job he's doing. Well, eventually, they figured it all out, and then it just became a running joke with them
and they would just keep it going afterwards.
Right. So I was on a call with that client today, and there was a discussion going on about us doing some integration with another company, and the COO of the company who was on with us said, well, I'm not too worried about it because we have some of the best developers in the industry. And he goes, oh, wait, is Eric on this call? I'm like, yeah, it's me. Do you need me to get John? And he lost his shit. He lost his shit, man. It was funny. So, yeah, I thought you'd appreciate that.
That is funny.
All right, I learned. I know we're running long, but I want to get a few things off my chest. I've been patient. I got confirmation, so I was going to bring it up as a question in Discord, I did actually bring it up as a question in Discord, and nobody confirmed it. I actually got confirmation right before the show. If I can find that link, I will. There, I should have put it in Trello, and I didn't. Yeah, let me add this to the show notes as we speak. But I've been DMing people on Twitter. So Twitter has been the way I communicate with people outside of my circle. If they have a Twitter account, and I do this a lot. I used to do interviews before John and I started running PHP Architect. I was writing articles for PHP Architect, for PHP Roundtable, and we're trying to get panelists. If you had a Twitter account, that's how I got in touch with you. I was reaching out to people because we're starting to lay some groundwork for PHP Tech 2024, and I had an idea for somebody I wanted to do a keynote. So I wanted to kind of ping them to see if they'd be interested, and I wasn't allowed to DM them. It said, "Oh, hey, you can only DM this person if you're a Twitter Blue subscriber."
Yes.
I'm like, wait, what? Like, I'm pretty sure I've DM'd them in the past, and I was, so my initial thought, because the person I was DMing didn't have a blue check mark, and we talked last week about how that's now a setting where you can hide your blue check mark. So when I saw that, I'm like, God damn, I'm going to have to, become a Twitter Blue member and hide my blue check mark just so I can DM this person. And then I remembered, oh, no, I have the PHP Architect account, which we do have that on. And so I just went over there and messaged them from over there. But it was just like, I guess that's a thing now. Like, you can't just DM people anymore. What's the rules behind this?
And this is a ticket on my list. I added a ticket that just says, remember when Eric asked, what is the value of one company buying another company? And this is the perfect example, is that there is inherent value in Twitter, and it is being systematically destroyed by the worst decisions you have ever seen.
Going back to Twitter, I don't know what you were talking about, Tom. Didn't it used to be you either had to be following each other, like you could DM somebody if they were following you, or you had to explicitly enable, DMs from anybody.
Right.
So is it still a setting? I really don't know.
No, it's fully a paid feature now to DM people.
Just across the board? Because I can DM other people.
I don't know.
Is that just a Twitter Blue thing? Like, if you're a Twitter Blue person, then you have that control.
I don't know. I'm not Twitter Blue, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, none of it's really clear.
That's frustrating, man. That was so frustrating. And then I can't be sure, and maybe somebody here knows. I don't have an article for this, but I was looking at a post, a tweet, an X, whatever the hell we're calling it, and it said like there were like 4 replies to that post. I'm like, all right, what are these what's this conversation going on? And I clicked into it, and I only saw 1. I was like, okay, I thought it said 4. And I went back. I'm like, yeah, it says 4 comments. And I click into it again, and I'm only seeing 1. Can you not see comments now either, or replies, or what's the story here? What am I missing?
You got me.
It's stupid and arbitrary.
Okay, all right. I don't know what to do anymore. It's so hard to use
their settings
platform anymore.
Yeah, their settings are all messed up too. I can't easily find like DM settings.
Yeah, it's very hard to use that platform, and yeah, it's fun. What's funny is you see companies like want to make this big announcement that they're leaving Twitter. I'm like, nobody cares. Like, honestly, nobody cares. It's like you're not going to change. You're not changing anybody's decision on whether they're going to stay or go on that platform because you left.
When somebody like NPR choosing to leave, they owe the followers an explanation. Like, hey,
I think that's what it is more than a big announcement.
Why we're doing this because it's turning into a dumpster fire and we can't trust it.
Yeah.
And I think this was a ABC or some Australian network or something saying it's now gotten too toxic. Like there's just no productive conversation happening on that platform anymore. And
Well, because the
Yeah.
blue check marks show up first, and they're notoriously confrontational accounts, and you can't reply to like normal users anymore, and it's a dumpster fire.
God,
All right, I got one more. I got one more piece of my week. Let's move from Twitter. We talked a while back about SOC 2 compliance, and one of our clients went through that, and now yearly you've got to do this tabletop exercise where you basically have a kind of a fake, but you have a fake incident, and then it's, do you have the right tools to respond to it? And you got to do it once a year. And this past week was the year anniversary, so we all got together and went through a scenario of somebody found a SQL injection attack vector on the site, and they've corrupted some data. That is a scary freaking exercise, but we just had an article in PHP Architect magazine. Was it the July-ish? I forget if it was June or July. We recently had an article from Eric Mann about tabletop exercises, and I encourage you to sit down and go through that. The one we just did happened to be around SQL injection, but it's anything like, something happened. Do you have backups? Your site's down. What do you do? It could be very minor. It could be very major. But the fact that we got together and went through an exercise of what if this happened led us down a road of, oh, maybe we should enable this. Maybe we should look at adding this thing. So one of the things was, can we log every single query we run for 24 hours? Because it would be nice to have. We do have a database that is 24 hours behind the original. So as we're talking through the scenario, it's like, oh, we start seeing in the logs that this attack happened at 10 a.m. Let's get our 24-hour backup up to that point, so we know at this point we have good data. Now we have to make a decision. Do we cut back over to that and lose an hour's worth of data, or do we keep it there, fix whatever the issue is, and then maybe fix one-off issues? Like if it's not a widespread issue, maybe we just have that 24-hour backup sitting there where we can cherry pick the data and fix some corrupted data versus blanket pushing everyone back. My point being, it was a fantastic exercise. It was stressful in the moment. You're trying to treat it like a real scenario. Are you doing everything you can do to protect data, get the bad guys out, stop the attack?
In that exercise, when you say something like that, like you give the scenario of our SQL database has been compromised or something, or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you talk about, are you doing everything you can to protect your data? Wouldn't that be like one of the arguments of, well, I mean, that what the scenario you're saying couldn't have happened because we have processes X, Y, and Z in place.
So in this scenario, it was whoever created the scenario said, we just got reports from customer service that a customer is saying they're missing some data and some other data was changed without them knowing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get together and
figure out the vector.
Right. So we weren't told necessarily there was SQL injection. This happened, and we start going through the process of, oh shit, what's going on? like what's happening. And part of it is us playing along, like, oh, so and so just jumped on this server and did X, and found this. So obviously not real. It would have been really cool to, set up an environment where they created this attack vector that may not exist, right? And then you have to find it. We've talked about
kind of what I've experienced recently in the last year,
where they make a bad environment on purpose.
We have a very aggressive security team that doesn't let us know they're doing security stuff until like months later and says, here's the result of what we did. And we don't name names, but somebody picked up a USB drive in the hallway that was just dropped on the ground and plugged it into their computer. And
so we've talked about actually going to the point of doing red blue teams where you have somebody, you have a team that is specifically meant to target the system, not necessarily production, but a system, and then you gotta fix it. It's more that it was a great exercise in just playing it through in your mind, where usually on your day-to-day basis you consider that stuff, but you don't necessarily give it too much credit.
Right.
But it was like, well, shit, what if this really did happen? What do we do? And we came up with lots of things that could be made better. We could have done things differently. How do you report things? What do you say?
What's the FBI's phone number?
Yeah, all that good stuff. It was a good exercise. I highly encourage it. And go read PHP Architect magazine to learn a little bit more.
Is that
you like the segue?
Yeah. Is it the August issue?
No, I think it was June or July. I can't remember which.
Well, if you have subscription, you have the full backlog on PDF available at phparchitect.com, so you can just pull it up and read it.
There you go. Very good, Tom. You have our entire catalog dating all the way back from when PHP Architect started.
Yeah,
I don't think enough people take advantage of.
Not loved enough to get a hard copy, so all I have is the PDF copies.
It was the May issue. I was completely wrong.
You're close.
You got the year right.
Yeah, it was one of those months in this year.
Tabletop planning for disaster. Yeah.
Hey, we talked about. I got one more thing, and then we can wrap things up. I finally think I have an idea. Native PHP was announced at Laracon, and this is where you can create desktop apps using PHP.
Never been so heartbroken.
Why were you? Oh, was it because of the fact that it's just your source code?
They're basically like, yeah, you can run your PHP in an OS X window, or like maybe Windows.
Yeah. So I'm so confused. Why are you heartbroken?
Mobile app development pipeline, PHP in the mobile app development world. Come on.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. I'm with you on that. But I was trying to come up with a good use case. It's like, okay, why would I use this? And I've seen a couple people talk about what they're doing with it on Twitter. I'm like, that's clever. I mean, I'm glad you did that. I think I got one. We talk about we talk about how I do all the work for the show. When we start the show up, there's a lot of things I do, a lot of show prep I do, including things like running the bot for Discord, the title management. Throughout the show we have titles, social media posts, all these things. And I have a bunch of scripts that do a lot of this for me. And this is kind of what got me thinking about it. I was like, okay, I need to update my scripts. I want to do a couple things. I want to start to automate the social media posts and things like that. That's what I can do. I can actually create a PHPUgly podcast dashboard and just have all this stuff in the dashboard for me. because I write to my local file system for like the titles and stuff. So it's like, yeah, this would work. Like this is actually a good use case for this. I could totally use this. So I might actually do that. I don't know yet.
I can see it as an exercise, but well, now you got me wanting to do that because I'm currently in the middle of writing something for my kids' elementary school for running club, and I'm
Mhm.
doing it as a web app, right? Because that's what I know. I think I told you last week I spun up my first sale environment, and all it's doing is interacting with a Google Sheet to download the data, process it, and spit out some HTML for me. Maybe a desktop app does what I need it to do. Although ultimately I need to print out, and having the CSS media tag to say, hey, when printing, here's the page break is kind of nice.
I've
Not
done
have to
Ghost
deal
But
with that.
you would still, but wouldn't you still have that? Because I mean, you still have the code. I mean, you're still doing the code.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
But
enough about native PHP.
The point is that it's just portable. It's just a web browser.
But
Electron app.
but think about it. But think about it for a second. I mean, so I'm a fan of, like I said, we talk about Filament all the time. I'm a fan of your admin section not being part of a root website, but being part of a completely different subdomain or something that you can lock down more through, IP addresses and things like that. Or you could do a complete admin interface to your backend system as a native PHP app. So you don't have to worry about the fact that your admin and every interface to the absolute everything in your company is online waiting for somebody to find it and crack their way through it. I don't know. I mean, I can definitely see some use cases on it. I'm not totally excited about it. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to use this for everything. But it is kind of an interesting way to kind of isolate things, maybe get a little bit more control over it.
So I saw via Discord that it may be available Mac OS, Linux, and Windows at this point.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
So
Yeah,
I may, for the Running Club app, I may try installing it just to see how it goes. Now I'm curious.
fun stuff, man. It's a fun time to be a PHP developer.
Yeah, the only practical use I've seen so far is someone made Flappy Bird written in PHP.
Oh, I saw that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing you would want to be in a portable executable for people who don't have PHP installed on their machines. But outside of that,
But why wouldn't you just put that on the web?
you're just describing like running PHP in a different window. I don't.
Yeah, Flappy Bird. I thought that was cute, and like I said, a good exercise. But that would be an example where I just make that a website. Like, why?
All of this
Are
stuff
they?
you can make a website.
No, well, that's the thing. Like with the PHPUgly stuff, I have the scripts on my local machine. The titles are on my local machine. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's why I thought that was a good fit.
But
I don't know.
You have so many things you run locally through either Docker or Lando or whatever that you could easily make it a web app anyway. It doesn't have to be a native PHP one.
Well, I mean, anything that's a native PHP app can be a web app. It's a Laravel application underneath. I don't know to what degree you can take advantage of system APIs like like a webcam or something like that. I don't know. I haven't gotten into it that much to know if that's a thing. But yeah, that's not the point. I mean, the point is if everything's local on my machine, yeah, I don't know.
Speaking of webcams, last week Zoom updated their terms and conditions and said that you have no ability to opt out of them using your video sessions for training of their new AI. Your video and audio belong to them. They will train their new AI off of it. You cannot opt out. You can only choose to not use Zoom anymore.
What? Really?
caused a small disturbance in the force. People got a little bit upset, as you can imagine. And so, in less than a week, Zoom has come back
Your
out.
cat's clearly upset.
I'm very upset. But in less than a week, Zoom came back out and said, never mind, we're not going to use your data to train our AI. And that was awful silly of us. We didn't actually mean it the way that it was written in the legal form that defines what we actually literally mean. So they have, within the period of 1 week, made an ugly, stupid mistake and then immediately retracted it. But
there was another thing. I'm looking it up right now as you're talking. There's another thing Zoom did, which is ironic because Zoom is what made remote work possible to so many people during the pandemic.
oh, yeah, that's a 1,000 IQ move here. I've seen this.
They're telling their employees they have to come back to the office now.
Office.
Zoom. This is Zoom people.
It's gonna work. You have to be physically here.
That was a stupid idea. I don't know who would do. Make sure and like within like the next day, they're sending out emails talking about the benefits of remote workers. It's like, you dicks.
No, it really is like two hands operating completely blindly from each other. Where, I mean, and you know the inspiration for all of this, like get back to work stuff, is that these big companies own office space.
Yeah.
And they're losing huge amounts of money by having them empty. They're losing money in the depreciation of the value of the property. Is now, if no one wants to be in an office, then your office space is worth less and less and less every day. So I swear to God.
But is it worth? I mean, whether the people are there or not, you're paying the same amount of money.
No, but so this is an investment that's called a non-bank or a land investment, which is a type of investment that companies used to get into when interest rates on banks were too unpredictable. So you can't have $1 billion in a savings account. You have to put that into a market, and that market is fluctuating, et cetera, et cetera. And land was always considered to be the safest investment. And so a lot of these big companies took their excess funds, purchased physical land with it, and used that physical land as a stable source of cash in the bank. And now that people are not going to offices, the land values in cities are plummeting rapidly. And these companies that thought they had a stable $1 billion in the bank end up only having $750 million. And it's a crisis for them.
But by Zoom having people show up at their offices doesn't change the value of it.
No, but remember when you were on a board in San Diego that was a bunch of investors all discussing how they're running their company, how everyone's making their changes to fit the new laws and taxes, and giving you investment advice for that type of thing. But these large companies have boards of directors that are on 20 different boards. You have a board of director for Zoom who's also a board of director for Wells Fargo and a board of director for Citibank and some cell phone service. So these decisions are not made in the best interest of the company. These are the best interest of the board. Mm-hmm. And it's the board that is managing more than just one of these multinational corporations. They want every company to get back in the office to shore up these investments that are plummeting.
Fascinating.
Well, it's definitely not
the technical term. A land bank is when companies buy land to secure money.
Well, it's definitely not lowering the value of rent in San Francisco. That's for damn sure. All right. That is going to be it for episode 347 because you need to move this over and you need to move this over.
350
gotta move shit over, Tom. Okay, that's it. We're wrapping up. That's a take. I'm Eric.
I'm John.
Meow.
Keep it ugly.
Ugly.
1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John, you know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man. Hope your channel is doing real well on YouTube. Hope you guys are having fun. And it was an honor and blessing to do this little custom freestyle for y'all. Hope you enjoy. Stay up. Yeah. Come on.
All right.
All right, I'm gonna feed this little asshole before I pull my hair out.
Okay, man. You do your thing. Oh, he left? Oh, he's still here.
Just turn his camera off. But now, good night,
all right.
Frank.
Good night, Frank. Thanks for hanging out with us. We need show titles, everybody.
There are some good ones. There are some good ones already given.
I am stuck between. Well, let me see what else is here. Zoom yourself back to the. Aywoods, man, he's too damn good at this. PHP, the happiest podcast. That was Tom. That's actually not bad.
That was a good one.
So the two I was really kind of focused on was season pass holders, which was Tom, and what was the other one?
That was funny in context. I mean, they're all funny in context.
Oh,
context, I guess, but
PePHPetual Honeymoon, where PePHPetual is PePHPetual. Yeah, and that's Aywoods.
Yeah,
and Aywoods got zoom yourself back to the office, which is makes me chuckle. Yeah, I don't know.
I think you're gonna go PePHPetual.
PePHPetual, you think?
Just because it has PHP in the title.
Well, I would have put PHP and pass for season pass holders.
Yeah, that one was more. It was funny, but it's more. It's not coding related.
We can do a spin on Tom's and have PHPUgly, comma, the happiest podcast on the internet.
Isn't that what he put?
He put, is PHPUgly the happiest podcast on the internet? PHP, my title, please.
Maui, owie.
Too soon, Aywoods. PHP pick. Buttery tries so hard. Buttery, you got the title last week, didn't you? I think that was yours.
Only because Aywoods wasn't here.
Yeah, Aywoods was out sick. That's the only time anybody gets a chance. All right, PePHPetual it is. PePHPetual Honeymoon. PePHPETU. Do I have a thumbnail creator tonight? SoCal, or NorCal, are you still out there?
These lights did a good job. Boop. I stole my kids' lights because they weren't working well in their beds, so I got them new ones for their beds, and I took theirs for my office.
I feel like mine needed to be up one more. I was looking dark. Yeah, that actually looks better. Oh,
So
what the heck, Doug? Man, I tell you what, don't ever confuse your kids' names. I tell my kids all the time, my dad used to confuse me with the dog. Like, my kids are twins. Yeah, your name is going to get mixed up every now and then. You don't know if you got the real name anyways. Maybe you were the firstborn. We lost track of you two. Who knows? But yeah.
You got that story from Indiana Jones.
What story?
I was named after the dog.
No, I wasn't named after the dog. My dad used to call me the dog's name. Like, it was a real thing.
Back in my day, we used to have median summer temperatures. Now it's all highest temperature ever.
I thought I was going to be late to the show tonight. Took my kids bowling tonight.
Oh, kid bowling is always fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Considering I've been going to a physical therapist for my shoulder for the last few weeks, I was like, this is probably a bad idea. It worked out well. I did all right.
I still do not hear the end of the story from my current wife, how I would not allow her to bowl while she was pregnant. And she was big pregnant. She wasn't a little pregnant. She had full belly, big old pregnant. Yeah. And I wouldn't. First thing, you need to understand my current wife. She's not the most nimble person on their feet.
And you're talking about back in the day where all the bowling alleys were smoke-filled cesspools.
Oh, and they were like, well, no, it wasn't even for that. It was like Fred Flintstone. We had the big rocks for balls and dino bones for pins. But yeah, I didn't want her carrying the ball. I didn't want her going down a lane in slippery shoes. There's nothing about bowling I wanted her to do with a big pregnant stomach.
I am 100% writing an article for PHP Architect.
Hey, let's do it. What are you writing?
What'd you say? I missed what you said.
I am 100% writing an article for PHP Architect.
This year?
I'm making one commitment at a time.
Baby step on the commitments.
This
fair.
The article will be leveling up your dev game with a home server. And it will be about the tools that I've been playing with that are just mind-blowing. Like Portainer is just the coolest thing. You think you like Lando or whatever? Portainer is the coolest thing. And running that on Proxmox.
Are you saying poor like P-O-O-R or P-O-U-R?
Portainer. Like multiple environments, stacks, containers, images, network connections, and volumes. It is so cool.
So this isn't a single article. This is an ongoing thing.
I don't know yet. I'll know more when I get into writing it because it is like super an ongoing thing. If you want to get into home networking and how does 10 gigabit work in a home network and how do you deal with all your routing stuff.
He loves that flex, boy. He loves it.
Well, I don't have that, but I want to get into that, and the knowledge on home networking is out there, but you have to find it yourself and figure these things out. Like LXC, like the Linux kernel direct nodes where you get
the only thing I'm going to caution you on with this, and this is for everybody's benefit who's listening, who might be curious to write an article for PHP Architect. I'm not a fan of writing about paid services.
None of this is paid.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at the wrong thing then.
No,
this is all paid.
No. A lot of it is open source with paid options, much like Apache.
All right, that's what I needed to hear because
Yeah, no, I don't do anything paid. Like Nginx Proxy Manager isn't paid, Portainer's not paid, Proxmox is free. This is all open source with service contracts.
Oh, I see they have a community edition. There's Portainer CE.
Yeah, so like all of these sysadmin tools have a community edition.
See, this is where I lose focus when I see like Swarm and Kubernetes. It's like, I don't care. I'll pay somebody to do that.
And sort of my goal is to like get past that, where there are so many buzzwords that it takes a while to get through.
All right. Yeah, I'd be interested to read something like this.
Yeah, there's such cool stuff out there. It's just so I'm constantly impressed.
All right.
Did you guys like my paragliding video I shared?
I didn't see it.
What?
Yeah, did you?
I posted it at 3:41 today.
So where you landed, was that like a place you were supposed to land? Is that what you were shooting for?
That's the main LZ of Palomar.
Gotcha.
So that the runway that I'm flying along, you can land there. At the point where I said I'm getting low, I need to start heading for the LZ. There's 2 big fields right there that you can land, but with any of those, you got to walk all the way to where I ended up landing because that's where you park.
Gotcha.
So I met another pilot right there. The car I land right next to is his. So we met there. I drove up to the top. We both landed, got in his car, drove up to get my car.
That's pretty cool.
Yes. I've been super nervous about going back there because my first flight there was my longest flight ever at like an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. And even that day, usually on a good day, lots of people go there. And he put out in early afternoon, like, is anyone planning on flying Palomar? And he said, there's 2 main forecasts we watch. And he's like, this one is showing meh, and this one is showing the lift is going to be great. And somebody else replied, yeah, the one that's showing great often is wrong. It's normally closer to the other one. So meh, it's not going to be great. He's like, I'm still going to go. I'm like, I'd already cleared it with the wife. I'm like, all right, I'll join you. So at that point, it's just the 2 of us going, and it ended up being pretty good. I watched where he went to go get lift, and he went way higher than I did, and I wish I would have done it, but I was nervous when he did it, thinking that's not where you want to be. That's a bad area. But I was wrong.
How long does it take you to do all this?
Do what?
To go somewhere, suit up, fly, land. I'm like how much of your day does that take?
So it depends. Like for Palomar, it's a 45-minute drive for me from my house. So it's 45 minutes there, probably another 20 minutes up the mountain. From the time we parked to launch, it was probably 10, 15 minutes. I had a good hour flight, hour and 10-minute flight. Had to drive back up. So for me, I left at, let's see, we met at 3:30. I think I left my house at 3 and I was back by 8. So that day was on the abnormal. Normally I leave my house here like at 5 o'clock, go to Little Black, which is 5 minutes from my house. It's a 10-15 minute hike up. I fly, usually it's a 3-minute flight down. So I'm there from 5 to like 7:30. And I do that like usually once a week. So not as much time as I would like it to take, but it doesn't take very long.
Well, what I was trying to say about about why would you pay so much money for a company? There's that intellectual value that the employees give you. There's the brand value, and all of it has been ruined. All of it.
But still, billions. He paid billions for the company. I mean, for you to, assuming that his plan wasn't to completely destroy Twitter,
That's a big assumption.
you would have to make billions of dollars before you broke even. Like, there's no way Twitter was in a position to make that much money. That's always my thing.
But see, not make that much money, but be worth that much money.
I don't get it.
Because even if it's not going to make that much money, when you buy a company like that, you can take the incredible talent pool that they have and shift them to another product. People that Microsoft has been trying to acquire for a decade have worked at Twitter or were working at Twitter. And Microsoft has the opportunity then to say, like, hey, we want you to work on this Microsoft project that's related to your area of expertise. And since you already work for us, you don't have to worry about anything. We'll give you extra benefits or whatever. But to lay off or fire all of your employees and then to burn the brand recognition to the ground is all of the value that the company had. Now they've got nothing. Now they literally are never going to make that money back because they can't ever.
I can't say they can't ever. It's just in our minds, that's just ridiculous.
In the dumpster fire he has created, there's no recovery.
No, I agree, but there's a dumpster fire that we see, but maybe there's some brilliance there.
I know
not.
there's not. 100% on that.
Eric, you'll get a kick out of this. Tom, you might as well. My kid has been doing Scratch coding. You know,
Nice.
not a ton, but I showed him a little bit like a year and a half ago. He built a little game. We built a little game that he then got to display to the school last year. And then for his birthday a couple months ago, I gave him the Raspberry Pi 4, the keyboard.
Oh yeah.
Set him up, and we sat down at that point and built a little, like, just did a little demo of like a traffic light. Had him hook things up, trying to show him how LEDs work, the GPIO pins. It sat there for a little bit longer than just a couple of weeks, or last week. We sat down again, and he really wanted to get away from the block coding of Scratch. So the whole book starts with Python. I'm like, I've never done Python before. Let's take a look at it. So I started showing him some Python. So he's like typing things out.
Careful what you say. It's getting towards child abuse.
And he enjoyed it. I told him, like, this Raspberry Pi book that came with it, you can start just reading through this on your own. Like, the first chapters, like all the components of a Pi and what makes it work. Like, you don't have to actually be on the thing. You can be reading this stuff. And then he decided to go to the Python section while up in bed, for the night. And he's like actually on pen and paper writing out the code samples that he's seeing.
Oh boy,
I remember that.
so do I.
I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool.
I totally remember doing that when I was working at 7-Eleven.
Yeah, me too. Not 7-Eleven, but I remember like just I remember doing in BASIC, and I would put the line numbers 10, 20. Like, oh man, that's great.
I love that.
Yeah,
I think I still have my reference book that for BASIC, because that was my big thing. Like, I had a reference book. I would go through each function. Night A Woods. I would go through each function and learn how it worked and like what it did. I'm like, oh, let me see how I could use that. And I'm trying to tell him that's what you need to do with this book. Like, learn what is happening here, and then apply it somehow.
He's
And
too young. He's too young to learn about go-to statements or pointers.
Well, I'm trying to tell him, like, these are the building blocks. Like, understanding what you're doing now applies to all the languages in the future.
Trying to hold him
So-
back.
Yeah, so like I'm trying to. They jump right into loops, so we do a loop real quick, and I have it print out 1 to 100, and then change the number and have it print out a bunch more, and then in the book it's like, what would happen if you did a loop in a loop? So I type out the code for him real quick, and I'm trying before we run it. I'm like, but what do you think will happen? And he's just not there yet. I'm like, no, we need to think about like what's happening, and he's just guessing all over the place. And finally,
How old? 8?
9, just
9?
turned 9.
All right. When he's 10, you can show him the Matrix, and then really blow his fucking mind.
Mhm.
I showed my daughter.
Whiz Kids. Do you remember Whiz Kids? That was the show I used to watch all the time. The
Oh.
computer.
Sounds familiar.
Whiz Kids. God, I was just when you mentioned the Matrix, I'm like, what did I used to watch? I used to watch something.
Well, do you know about the RPG game that's programming?
Here it is.
Kids
Whiz
TV
Kids.
series.
Yep. TV opening theme.
No.
Oh, this guy. This kid.
Hack and slash. You should get hack and slash.
A Program for Murder is the first episode.
Yep. Look at that laptop. That's awesome. Yeah, this and War Games were my two, like,
War Games was good.
I couldn't get enough of it.
No, War Games is good because it teaches a lot of different things. It teaches morality of coding as well as, you know.
It teaches you that you can't code without a big gulp.
Yeah.
That was one of the first, like, time product placement was, like, so obvious to me. It's like, holy crap. You know, he had to walk to 7-Eleven and get a big gulp for this?
I have ruined movies for so many friends of mine.
Oh, you're that guy, huh?
Oh, I'm so that guy. Well, like a friend of mine, his wife watches Twilight all the time.
Mhm.
I started calling it the blue movies because the whole thing's shot with a terrible blue filter over the camera the whole time, and it's just terrible. And she never noticed it until I put it out. Like, oh, the blue movie. I know this one.
Speaking of terrible movies, dude, I tried so hard to like that the Flash movie, and it is just, I can't stand that character. The Flash character. Not to mention the actor who plays the Flash, but the character that they have, it's like it's just so frustrating to try to watch that movie. And I literally only watched it because of Michael Keaton and Batman. You know, his Batman in there was. I was interested in the Supergirl, which I thought was done well. I liked that character, but yeah, the Flash just. I never liked that character all through Justice League. Like, I don't know. John, were you ever a runner? Like a focused runner sort of thing?
I mean, only for a couple of years where I did a few 5Ks, but nothing major.
Gross.
I don't understand the running style that the Flash creates. Like, is that like some running niche thing that I don't know about, or is the flinging of the arms like you're a rag doll? Like,
it was entirely up to the actor.
Like, it looks horrible. Like, you don't even look like you're running. You look like a child. You know.
Not just that, but they were implying that he ran so fast that his stride was like a mile long, which doesn't make sense at all. And so they did Quicksilver in First Class, X-Men First Class, and everything they did with him was either a blur or in slow motion that perfectly matched the speed he would be going at for the whole environment around him. And for some reason, in the new Flash movie, he's running at a speed that is not reflected by the speed of the camera that's following him. So he's making these like strides where he makes a left turn, but both of his feet are still up in the fucking air, and he just turns left, and it doesn't. It's bizarrely badly done.
I have not seen it, so I cannot comment. But it sounds horrible.
Don't waste your money. And I wasted my money on it. I first thing, we tried watching it in Nashville, and the hotel, the hotel system that we bought it through was horrible. So I'm like, well, it wasn't a good movie. I'm not worried about it. I saw enough of it where I know I don't care. But me and Batman, I'm like, I don't know, man. I really like Michael. Maybe I just need to watch it again in good quality. So I ended up buying it off YouTube.
So the only reason I wanted to see it was for the surprise cameos, and everyone on the internet ruined all of the surprise cameos within a week. Where even if you're avoiding it, you still caught it. Like the whole.
That's what I told Beth.
I didn't catch it, so I haven't seen anything about it.
You didn't care. That's different. But the Superman test footage with Nick.
Oh yeah, you're right. I forgot about that one.
And that would have made the movie for me if I didn't know about it the week
that would have blown me away. Yeah,
but I knew about it already.
In the joke of the fact that he was fighting a spider, which was funny. Yeah,
fantastic. But it was such an easily ruined movie because it relied entirely on its cameos.
Yeah, you're right. All those cameos, all the Speed Force cameos, or whatever the bubble was called, all those cameos was that would have been really good to had seen, learned about it as you watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Botfleck, and then you've got Keaton, and then you've got
Adam West. I mean, you had them all.
Aren't you spoiling it now for everybody, including me?
No, because it's garbage.
It's been out for. I'm telling you not to watch it.
This is the problem: is that it's garbage. It is a cameo episode of a show where Fez comes back from wherever he was, and that 70s show has been shit for a decade. It's that 70s. You don't get pop culture references. I'm not gonna bother.
Fair enough.
Up in the all dream, John.
Let me put it in Paw Patrol for you.
What's Paw Patrol?
I know you're lying.
I don't know, those kids are older now. Maybe he might not be lying.
Yeah, Paw Patrol's 5 years old now.
Is it really?
Yeah. They've got 2 movies out. Anyways,
they're both probably better than the Flash.
The whole thing is that the Flash relied entirely on cameos, and they started leaking the cameos because the actual movie itself was so garbage, and so people were like, "Oh, well, I can leak cameos after I see it too." Then, and it was they never said, "Don't tell people about this." They said, "Totally tell people about this," which is the wrong marketing move to make for a movie that is trying to hook, the nostalgia fans.
Yeah, that movie was doomed from the beginning.
One. Clooney's in it.
That was the one that got. I've forgotten about all the Speed Force ones, so yeah, those got ruined for me. Clooney was the one that really kind of what? Why are you telling? It had no impact on the movie at all. There was no reason for you.
It was the movie.
Spoil that. It was there was just no reason to spoil that one. And
it was the movie. It's like getting a bag of Skittles that say mystery flavor, and it's just a normal bag of Skittles. This is easily ruined. not worth buying, and someone who comes out of the theater can just say to you, yeah, don't bother.
No, I want Skittles.
For the record, I do know what Paw Patrol is.
Yes, we know you know what Paw Patrol is.
Barely. My kids had a couple of books, but they never got really into it.
Well, you did that like weird, we're not letting the kids know that the outside world exists thing for like 6 years.
Yeah, and I'm still trying to make them not know the outside world exists. But
Yeah. You're like, have you heard about this game Chess? It just came out.
All right, I need to cancel. I need to end the stream. Everybody, thanks for hanging out. I need to
2 hours, 2 more seconds, then you can do it. All right, 2
There you
hours.
go.
Can I do it now?
Yeah.
How do we get to 2 hours? Crazy.
Buttery, what are you saying? Like,
I thought I was gonna be-
Mexico filter. Basically, yes. I don't get the Mexico filter.
Yeah. You haven't seen that?
What's that?
When everything's orange, it means you're in Mexico.
Don't get it.
I don't think I've ever paid attention to that.
In movies, like when they want to emphasize that they're in Mexico, they just put an orange filter over the camera.
I don't know. I gotta look it up now. Mexico filter. Mexico filter. Oh, I see what you're talking about. Yeah.
Thanks, Butter. That's
a Breaking Bad thing.
You know, Vince used it a lot in Breaking Bad, but it does not come from him.
No.
He used it a lot in Arizona too.
Interesting. All right. Yeah, I got to stop the stream, everybody. See you guys next week.